I didn't hit share screen. All right, my beautiful people. Hope you guys are having a great start to your Veterans Day. Um, today, on today's News and Digest, we're going to be going over a series of very important information, especially if you are a short-term rental operator. And if you're a traveler, I'm going to give you some information related on how to customize, especially if you are an Airbnb platform user, how Airbnb is going to change how you search for properties. And this is very important information because it's going to help you personalize that platform. In addition, I'm going to give you some underrated destinations that I highly recommend you travel to during the holiday season. So let me begin by, we're going to be talking first about holiday travel, right? I've been preaching this for the last week or so. Holiday travel is in full effect. Is anticipated based on some data that we're receiving that this holiday travel is going to be one of the busiest holiday travels we've seen in a very long time. So I highly, highly, highly recommend that you pre-plan if you're planning to travel during holidays. In addition, if you guys have never explored and traveled during the holidays, I'm going to give you, and I gave you some destinations last time, but today I'm going to give you, like I mentioned, some very underrated locations I recommend you visit, not only because these locations are really give you that holiday spirit with their decorations, some of the parades, some of the stuff that they're going to be doing, but because they're underrated, because they're not that known, you can get some great holiday deals for these destinations. So let me begin by sharing my screen, and I'm going to give you the specifically the region that I'm talking about is called the Andalusia region of Spain, which is the southern part of Spain. If you're familiar with Spain, I'm talking about Sevilla, Cordoba, Cadiz, but this specific location, I'm going to share my screen so you can see how beautiful this location is. All right, guys. So this is the Andalusia region. I mean, just look how beautiful this. Now, if you're not familiar with Spain or Spain's history, this part of Spain was ruled and occupied by the Persians, and the Persians have a very large footprint in this area. So that's why you're going to see some of the architecture in this area is a little different than northern Spain. But I mean, this area. When I say it's underrated, it is truly underrated. It is extremely beautiful, and you're going to see by these pictures. And I'm going to go kind of quickly because I have a lot to cover today. But I mean, you have the canals here. Now, these canals and this waterway during that time was instrumental connecting Spain to Africa. A lot of trade came through here, and this is why this region at that time was very, very popular. But look at these waterfalls. Or let me go back to this picture of the waterfall. This is why this is important, because most areas in Spain, you're not going to see this the geography that you're going to see here, you're not going to see in other parts of Spain. When I and like I said, the beauty about this area is that if you go any time of the year, but specifically if you go to the holiday season, man, they really do it up. I mean, they decorate this area like no other. I mean, look at how beautiful this architecture is. Look at the mountain regions. You can go hiking here. There's the beach. Now, obviously, during this time, unlike in northern Spain where it gets pretty cold, this area doesn't get as cold as it gets up there. There's these are the forts, some of the castles that I'm talking about. And like I said, I'm going to go kind of quickly here because I got other things to cover. But if you're going to travel during the holiday season, highly recommend you travel to this area because you're going to get some great deals. It's not going to be crowded like some of these other places. Look at this. If you're adventurous and want to try some kite surfing, highly recommend you do it here. And the nightlife there is great. The diving. I mean, it's just a beautiful place. Some great spas. If you see this, this is called the Saint Cuvet of Spain. You can find some great spas there, great hotels. Anyway, you guys get the idea of why I'm highly recommending you guys travel to southern Spain. Now, there's other destinations I mentioned already. I recommend if you want to, for example, if you want to stay domestically, New York City is one of the areas that I recommend during the holiday season, just because of the lighting of the Christmas tree, the Fifth Avenue, how they decorate and light up the stores on Fifth Avenue. You know, the Rockefeller Center, you can go skating there. That's domestically, right? But I'm encouraging you, if you haven't done it, to travel internationally. And one of the places that I recommend is Amsterdam. I mentioned that before. Amsterdam just recently opened up their ice skating rink in their Central Park again. And Amsterdam, they really do it up as well when it comes to the lighting. The Christmas holiday atmosphere there is really, really cool. Madrid is another great city to visit during the holiday season. But I encourage you to explore, right? You know, life is short, people. And right now, because of if you book early, you're going to have an opportunity to get some great deals in some of these destinations. Again, I encourage you to look at one of the videos that I did related to holiday travel. You're going to get some great information there. Now, let's talk about the winter release from Airbnb. Now, this is important whether you're a traveler or you are a short-term rental operator, and I'm going to explain why. Let me just share my screen again for this. Now, there's two components of this year's winter release that I want to talk about. The first one is the co-hosting network. Now, for transparency, I applied to be a co-host in this network, so I'm going to be part of this winter release that Airbnb put out there. Now, the question first I always ask myself, why is Airbnb doing this? Well, the main reason why they're doing this is because they realize, Airbnb needs hosts, and they need more people to use their platform and specifically. So if they can get more hosts to help operate and manage, especially these mom and pop operations, then it's to their benefit, right? Now, as a short-term rental management operator and a person that owns a short-term rental company, I got on here because it's more exposure and more opportunity to get more clients. But I am here to tell you that I am not a huge fan of it. And the reason why I'm not a huge fan of this co-hosting network is because, as I mentioned many times before, you should not be reliant and dependent on one platform. And Airbnb is doing this because they want you to be dependent on this one specific platform. I firmly believe that if you are an operator, that's a huge mistake. And more so, if you are a traveler, Airbnb it's a great platform. Don't get me wrong, user friendly. They give you the guest guarantee. But if you want to save money, if you want to get a better experience, number one, try to locate all the properties that are professionally managed. Again, right now, I believe it's over 85% of the properties on Airbnb are operated by mom and pop operators. They're not professional people. Most of them are doing this as a side hustle. And as a result, the chances of you or having problems with a property that you book are greater when it's not professionally managed, right? So this is one of the reasons why, although it's this program that Airbnb has thrown out, it's great for people like me because it allows me to make more money. It's not really great for people like you that are traveling. So having said that, it is a tool that they're doing. And if you read on here, it says that over 10,000 co-hosts across 10 countries are not part of this program, which is good, again, but I firmly believe it's really not super beneficial, not only to the operator, but it's not beneficial to the traveler. Now, if you are an operator, and the reason why you're going to use a host from this network is because you need help, I'm here to tell you, man, you're better off going and hiring a company like ours or another professional management company to help you operate your business. Because again, this network is going to assign you a co-host to help you manage your property. But that co-host, and oftentimes this is what you're going to see, look how long they've been in business, right? Because the requirement for this is that you have a 4.8 or greater per quarter rating as a host, and that one or a couple of the properties that you currently manage are either superhost properties or they have that guest badge. But the problem is, and I've always said this, is that if you're in business for a long time, keeping superhosts or keeping this 4.8 rating for any extended period of time is very difficult because you're not going to please everyone. You're going to get someone that comes to your property to complain, and more important today, because of the guest guarantee, they're going to complain because they want everybody to give them some type of discount or refund on their stay. In concept, this project is a good project, but in practice, there's a lot of flaws to it. But now, here's the second thing about the winter release that I talk about, and it's called the personalization of the app. This is a game changer, people, especially for short-term rental operators. And if you're an operator or a management company that are co-hosting or working with owners that are giving you the property for you to manage and for you to host, this is important for you to understand, right? Because Airbnb is changing how searches are done on the platform. I've always said that each listing should be considered like a website, and Airbnb should be considered very similar, like any social media platform, right? They are creating an algorithm that is specific to the user. So, for example, if I go on the Airbnb app and I open my account, Airbnb is studying how I search, what I book, my destinations, and when I open it, going as of this month going forward, they're only going to provide me with properties that they believe I'm going to book. They're going to show me properties and destinations that they feel is what I'm interested in. And I'm sure all of everyone on here has gone on and they talked about or they did a quick search on a specific item. Then all of a sudden you get bombarded with advertisements on that particular product. Airbnb is going to do the same thing. If you talk about a destination, if you search a destination, if you're consistently booking similar properties, then that's all you're going to see. Now, one, that's great for the consumer. That's a big plus for the traveler. And I like this part for the traveler. But for the short-term rental operator, once again, as I mentioned before, this doesn't help you at all. And it actually hurts you. And here's where I caution you, and here's where you really need to educate your property owners if you're managing property for other people. Now, let me stop sharing my screen here because I want to show something else in a second. But here's what's very important that you understand. Property owners have the bad habit of constantly going onto their particular property to see where they show up on during a search, if they show up in a search, and they're constantly doing that. I highly encourage you, if you are a property manager managing other people's property, or if you're co-hosting, and you need to educate the property owner on not to do that, right? Because every time they do that, every time, going back for a second, they're going to do that on their account. And as I mentioned, Airbnb is now personalizing these accounts. So when they go on there, if they go to their property and they don't book it, and they do it oftentimes, they're never going to see their property again, because Airbnb understands, based on their algorithm, that's not a property that you're booking at because you looked at it multiple times and never booked it, right? They don't know that you're the owner. They don't know that property is yours. So you're hurting the property every time you do that. In addition, if you own a property in the city that you live in, and when you book and use the Airbnb platform, you're not booking another property in your city. So chances are they're not going to show you anything in your city or in your area, because they understand that that's not what you're going to probably book. Now, you got to keep in mind that Airbnb is in the business of making money. So they're only going to show you properties that they believe you're going to book, and it's based on your behavior, right? Very important to understand. As an operator, as a short-term rental operator, if you have properties, you also need to understand that, right? Don't go on your property and look to see where you fall in a search, because again, you're not going to show up, because Airbnb understands that you're not going to book that property. So this new personalization of the winter release is hugely important. And it's important because now you're only going to show up on those people that are interested in your specific area and the type of property that you have. Very important. Now, how do you maximize this to your benefit as an operator? I'm going to repeat myself over and over again. I've said this a million times. This is how you maximize and protect yourself. Number one, let's talk about protection. Number one, don't be dependent on Airbnb. You should be on multiple platforms, or as many platforms as you possibly can. Number two, you should have a direct booking website, right? You should be advertising, marketing potential travelers to book through you, not through any OTA, you, right? Now, how do you maximize this algorithm? And the way you maximize this algorithm to suit you is to make sure that your property is front of mind for travelers. If you notice on my social media, I've been advertising, I've been talking about specific areas like Colombia, like Spain, like South Florida. Why? Because that's where my properties are. That's where my business is. So I want people to have these destinations as front of mind. So as you're marketing your property, as you're using social media, and as I mentioned before, as you should be to promote your property, highly recommend that you stick to your region. Highly recommend that you're constantly posting events in your region. Like, for example, we have Tortuga in South Florida, which is the music festival that's coming up in South Florida. I've been posting about that. We have the Las Olas holiday boat parade coming up. You're going to be seeing, I've already posted some of that stuff, but you're going to be seeing more of that stuff coming up, right? If you are an operator, and let me go back to Amsterdam because it's front of mind. If you're an operator in Amsterdam, man, you should be pushing the holiday season on your social media. That should be front of mind so that people start to search properties in Amsterdam. For me, people start to search property in South Florida. Hugely, hugely important, people. Okay, hope that is understood. Again, we are live, people, so if you have any questions, comments, go ahead and list them. I have Lorena will be there to answer any specific question you may have, but highly recommend that as we're going through this stuff, if you have questions or any comments, just list them and let's address them while we're here. Now, we talked about winter release. Now, I want to talk about two very interesting things that are happening with Airbnb, but more specifically with Uber. Now, and again, this section of this podcast is going to be related more to the operator, the short-term rental or business owner. But if you own a business, this is going to be important for you. And the reason is, if you follow me, if you're a subscriber to my channel, if you constantly follow me on Instagram, you heard me talk about verticals, right? When I go to business, in short-term rental business, I expand my business by adding vertical line to my business that help my primary business, which is the short-term rental management of vacation rentals, or the management of vacation rentals, right? That is my core business, is managing properties as short-term rentals. That's the core. But I wanted to go vertical, and I've been going vertical. And here's what I mean by that. If you follow me, you know that now we have the pest control that helps us keep our properties, without pests. We have landscaping. We have the cleaning company. Now we have the travel agency. These are all verticals businesses that funnel up into my primary business, which is the management of short-term rental properties, right? Here's the interesting part. Uber wants to get in the game. So let me share my screen again, because I want you to see what Uber is actually doing now. Let me see if I can find it. I'm sorry. All right, guys. So here, let's go over this. Now, this is interesting. Let's talk about Uber. Uber is considering the acquisition of Expedia. Now, if you're not familiar or understand why Uber probably wants to do this, let's just talk about Expedia first. Expedia, if you're not aware, they bought out Vrbo, right? Vrbo is another OTA, just like Airbnb. And Expedia has always been a travel platform, right? You can book your flights on Expedia. You can book experiences on Expedia, excursions on Expedia. You can book car rentals, hotels, short-term rentals. So you may be asking, why is Uber wanting to do this? Well, the reason why they want to do this is what I just mentioned, the vertical. They want to be more vertical. They want to be a one-stop shop, just like we want to be a one-stop shop. That's why I acquired a travel agency, and that's why I teamed up with Dream Vacation, because I want to be a one-stop shop. When you are a business and you're a one-stop shop, you can better service your customer because you have control of all aspects of their experience. Uber wants to do the same thing, right? They want you to purchase flights to them. They want you to purchase hotels or make reservations on hotels. And it's part of the vertical. In that process, you have the core service, which is Uber, right? That's the core service. But they want to be that one-stop shop. So it's a very interesting vertical that they want to do. We'll see if they actually buy Expedia. I have a strong belief they will buy out Expedia. But here's, and I'm going to talk about Airbnb, because Airbnb also wants to dominate, as you can see here. They want to dominate the multiple vertical aspect, right? They too want to be a one-stop shop. Look on here in this email that I got in relation to this. They are referring this to the Amazon-inspired ambition. Amazon, as you know, started with just books, and now they dominate retail market. Well, Airbnb wants to dominate the travel industry. They want to be able to do the exact same thing. Housing, transportation. They want to roll out everything just like Uber wants, and it's going to be a race and who gets there first. Very, very important news there. If you're on, let me know what you think about that. Do you think that's a good thing? Do you think that's a bad thing? Depending on how you see it, is meaning where you are in that cog, depends on whether you think it's a good thing or not. I personally think as a business, it's a great thing. You always want to go vertical. So if you're a business owner, once you are established, and that's the key point, right? Whatever your core business is, focus on that, grow that, make sure that that is strong, and never lose sight of that. But then try to go vertical, because by going vertical, it's going to always feed your core business. Very important. Now, last thing we're going to talk about now is going to be our financials. So let me show my screen again. All right, this week, our revenue, a little over 30,000. We had 226 nights booked. Our occupancy rate for this week is at 59.9. RevPAR is at 133. I'm sorry, average daily, it's at 133, and RevPAR is at 80. Now, if you look at our numbers, now this is the first week of November. We're going to see where we end up towards the end. I firmly believe that November is picking up. It's going to be a good month. December is definitely going to be a phenomenal month. I won't touch on it now, but our numbers for December already have exceeded our numbers for December last year. So December is going to be a great month, which is, as I mentioned in the beginning of this podcast, right? The travel industry is picking up for the holiday season. It's anticipated that this travel season is going to be one of the busiest travel season. And as we're seeing it already. My December, as I mentioned, is better than last year. So we'll see where we end up here. But let's continue with RevPAR. Seaholds Villa is at 177. Oakland is at 193. All others are at 79. Lake Worth is at 171. And then Fort Lauderdale at 175. Now, in terms of staffing, nothing new to report in staffing. In terms of projects, we have a lot going on in November. I am fully booked. And I said this before, but we're fully booked all the way up to March in terms of projects that we're working on, specifically on optimization. That part of my business is exploding. Been getting a lot of clients inquiring and wanting to know how they can make their business better. So if you're out there, you're a short-term rental operator and need help in managing, operating, or need some strategies on how to maximize your operations and your revenue, then hit me up. Be more than happy to work with you. So that is going to be it for this digest or the news and digest for this week. Again, if you guys have any questions, list them below. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.